whether the Princess of Wales's lifestyles were saved if she had reached hospital quicker. On August 30th, 1997, the sector became plunged into grief with the tragic lack of Princess Diana. Britain's Princess Diana has been in an automobile accident, Princess's companion DOD allied, and the auto's chauffeur had been killed inside the twist of fate. Her sudden dying dispatched shockwaves across the globe, and as news broke from Salpêtrière Hospital, the highlight quickly turned to people who were by means of her facet. In her final moments, the medical team led by using physician Monf Demon discovered themselves beneath enormous scrutiny as rumors and conspiracy theories started out to swirl. The blame become unfairly directed on the very doctors who had fought tirelessly to save her lifestyles. But now the healthcare professional who attempted to store Princess Diana has just broken his silence and taken aback everybody. Be part of us as we find what he found out about Princess Diana's dying and what that fateful night looked like from his perspective. Both the alcohol and the drug and mixture might have impaired his ability to force the motor car the night that taken aback the arena. Princess Diana's tragic farewell. Before we displayed to you what the medical professional who tried to store Princess Diana said that greatly surprised each person, let's examine what passed off that fateful night on apparently normal summer season day. Princess Diana, followed by using Dodi, fired, wrapped up a expensive end-day retreat aboard Muhammad Ali's yacht, cruising the solar-kissed French and Italian Riviera. Little did each person know this serene getaway could quickly spiral into a catastrophic night. On August 30th, 1997, the duo disembarked from a personal jet at Paris's Labour Airport, in short, stopping in the city of lighting on direction to London, owned by means of Mohammed Al Fayed. The distinguished Hotel Ritz Paris changed into supposed to be their sanctuary for the night. Timed the resort not just a luxurious lodging, but additionally a strategic vicinity with its proximity to a Les Rue Arnoux condo, had become the middle of a well-intended, however sick-fated plan in an to try to outsmart the ever-persistent paparazzi. A decoy vehicle become dispatched from the Ritz's Grand Palace Vome entrance. This pass aimed to attract away the digicam-toting swarm, permitting Diana and Dodi a quieter exit via the lesser-regarded rear door. On Rukum Ball at 20, they slipped into a black Perazzo Vidozo da 994 Mercedes-Benz S280, a car that promised safety, however, turned into destined for doom, with Henry Paul, the deputy head of safety on the Ritz, on the wheel, and bodyguard Trevor Reed Jones inside the front passenger seat. They activate extensively. None of the car's occupants wore seatbelts, a minor element with main results. Their direction from the Ritz become cautiously selected to reduce publicity. They crossed the enduring Place La Concorde and drove along the scenic embankments of the River Seine. However, the cow of the night turned into all of a sudden shattered at the entrance to the Pont del Mât underpass at exactly 23. The sudden happened. HRI lost. Managed the automobile attempting to stay away from a mysterious white Fiat, veered sharply, colliding head-on with the underpass bypass's 13th pillar at a harrowing pace of 65 miles over 2 times the criminal pace. Restrict the effects. Become devastating. The Mercedes spun wildly, putting the stone wall of the tunnel got here to a catastrophic halt. The harm turned into extensive, especially to the front 1/2 of the automobile, exacerbated via the dearth of protect rails. The aftermath changed into chaotic, with early witnesses reporting the eerie sight of smoke billowing from the wreckage, and photographers formerly in hot pursuit now swarming the scene earlier than the emergency services may want to arrive. The extreme emergency response for Princess Diana. First of all, Princess Diana survived the horrific automobile crash within the Ponto LMA tunnel, setting off a frantic and determined race in opposition to time to keep her existence. The moments that followed have been charged with a mixture of chaos and precision, reflecting both the urgency of the scenario and The grim fact dawning on those on the scene as the wreckage of the black Mercedes loomed under the dim lighting of the tunnel. A not-going hero seemed Frederick M.Z., an off-responsibility medical doctor who passed off upon the crash, was the primary to manage aid to Diana. Despite no visible accidents, Diana changed into in a state of shock, barely aware, murmuring, "Oh my God," and later pleading, "Leave me by myself," because the flurry of activity escalated round her, the scene become nothing short of cinematic, with flashing digital camera lights from photographers mingling with the flashing lighting of emergency motors ready towards the backdrop of a Parisian night. The photographers, frequently vilified for his or her relentless pursuit of an appropriate shot, confirmed varied reactions. A few, in a display of humanity regularly left out, rushed to assist, attempting to pry the mangled doors open. Others, ate up by the instant, persevered to snap pics. Their moves later met with outrage and bodily retaliation from horrified onlookers. Amidst this turmoil, police and firefighters arrived. By 00:30, about 10 minutes post-crash, the police were organizing the scene, and shortly after, an ambulance rolled in. Inside the ambulance, the atmosphere was traumatic. Diana, now sedated after an initial bout of agitation that noticed her removing an intravenous drip, went into cardiac arrest at the same time as she turned into being removed. She suffered a short cardiac arrest, so we wanted time to stabilize her. The medical team, fighting towards odds, managed to restart her heart with outside cardiopulmonary resuscitation at 1,118. Diana became ultimately extracted from the wreckage, and by 1:41, the ambulance departed for P. Salpatria Hospital, arriving at 206. Upon accomplishing the hospital, the clinical team confronted the monumental challenge of seeking to stabilize Diana, who suffered sizable injuries. Her coronary heart had been displaced, and he or she had excessive injuries to her chest and arm, demanding situations that might daunt even the most pro-medical specialists, regardless of their exhaustive efforts such as internal cardiac rubdown. Diana's situation deteriorated. The battle to save her, marked with the aid of moments of fleeting desire and crushing setbacks, culminated in her death at 4. The assertion of her passing at a 6 news conference became a somber, heart-wrenching second, signaling the stop of a worldwide icon. The aftermath of the coincidence saw a kingdom and indeed the sector in mourning. The French top minister and the interior minister visited the medical institution, a gesture of solidarity and respect. Later that day, Diana's former husband, Prince Charles, at the side of her sisters, arrived in Paris. Their visit to the health facility, accompanied via President Jacques Chirac, was laden with grief and gratitude in the direction of the medical doctors who battled valiantly to restore Diana. The return of her body to the United Kingdom turned into a solemn affair, marked with the aid of dignity and profound unhappiness. Her coffin, draped with the royal standard, as it turned into transferred from RAF Northull to the Hammersmith and Fulham Mori. The crash, not handiest, ended a existence, but also sparked a myriad of questions and investigations, but more on that later. French detectives explored every lead, which include a mysterious white Fiat Uno involved in the incident, but the DRE become by no means conclusively recognized. In the end, the French judicial investigation pointed to the intoxication and speeding of driving force. Henry Paul is the #1 causes of the crash analysis of the presence of medication or alcohol in the body. British Overseas Secretary Robin Cook and Diana's more youthful brother, the Earl Spencer, pointed arms on the paparazzi and the press, suggesting their function in the tragedy pondered a broader trouble of privateness, invasion, and media duty. Notwithstanding such accusations, no costs have been laid against the photographers. Royal mourning respond to Princess Diana's passing. You need to be questioning how the royal circle of relatives navigated the tumultuous days following Princess Diana's tragic loss of life in the wake of the Paris car crash that shook the world. The response of Britain's royal circle of relatives became scrutinized and often criticized as they struggled to balance public expectancies with private grief. Upon mastering of Diana's deadly coincidence, the royal protocol kicked into action, albeit in a way that many perceived as bloodless and indifferent. Queen Elizabeth II, then Balmoral with Prince Philip and her grandsons Prince William and Prince Harry, initially chose to shield her grandsons from the general public eye. The Queen's selection to maintain a personal facade was visible with the aid of many as a failure to publicly renown the kingdom's overwhelming grief. This past become arguable, but perhaps it could be chalked as much as a grandmother's instinct to defend her family from the relentless media frenzy Charles, Diana's former husband, turned into, tasked with the grim obligation of breaking the information to their sons, who were simply 15 and 12 at the time, in a global in which royal responsibilities regularly supersede non-public feelings. Charles's function as a protector and consoler to his sons turned into a poignant reminder that, at the back of the royal titles, they were just a family grappling with loss. Because the information of Diana's death unfolded, the public's sorrow manifested in an ocean of flowers and tributes outdoor Kensington Palace. No matter this public outpouring, the royal family's preliminary silence became deafening. It wasn't until 5 days later that the Queen, again to London from Balmoral, transferring her stance with the aid of addressing the nation in a televised broadcast. In this speech, she expressed her non-public sorrow, referring to Diana as an excellent person and acknowledging her contributions to the US of A and the Crown. I sought after and respected her for her electricity and commitment to others. I hope that day after today, we are able to all, wherever we be a part of, in expressing our grief at Diana's loss and gratitude for her all too short existence. The talk over whether Diana need to receive a public funeral epitomized the conflict between her public persona as the people's princess and her estranged status from the royal-owned family. In the end, the choice became made for a public ceremony reflecting her enormous place within the nation's coronary heart. The funeral, held at Westminster Abbey on September 6, 1997, changed into a blend of royal pomp and public heart. Wonderful attendees covered as First Lady Hillary Clinton and celebrities like Elton John, who done a touching rendition of Candle in the Wind rewritten in Diana's honor. Possibly one of the most hanging moments of the funeral, changed into the applause that followed the heartfelt and critical eulogy by way of Earl Spencer, Diana's brother, which condemned the clique and subtly criticized the royal circle of relatives for their remedy of Diana. This destroy from the standard solemnity of royal funerals, underscored the complicated courting between Diana and the institution she had once been a part of. Following the funeral, Diana became changed into laid to rest at Althorpe, her own family's estate. In a private rite, her final resting region, placed on an island within the estate's pride garden, symbolizes her isolation from the royal circle of relatives and her closeness to her ancestral roots. Conspiracy theories surrounding Princess Diana's demise, but the dying of Princess Dead, the instant changed into no longer only a clinical defeat, but a private and emotional blow to each group member who had poured their skill and wish into saving a lifestyles that touched so many throughout the globe. The aftermath became somber. The team changed into silent, processing the nighttime's activities and the overwhelming public interest that added a further layer of strain to their already difficult mission. D'Armont record referred to as the emotional toll it took on them. They'd battled now not just for the life of affected person, but for a female acknowledged and cherished by millions. The loss changed into felt not just in that working room. However, around the sector reflecting at the night, D'Armont expressed a deep sense of duty and an acute focus of the worldwide implications in their efforts. In spite of the outcome, he held on to the belief that they'd accomplished the entirety within inside their power to save the princess. How do you experience about D'Armont's attitude on Princess Diana's loss of life? Let us know within the remarks and subscribe to our channel for greater action. Dr. Holliday's want for D'Armont's children being indulged in has come true.